The silver spaceship crashed into the purple mountains of Zarian Prime with a thunderous roar that shook the entire valley. Smoke billowed from its broken hull as emergency lights flickered weakly in the growing darkness. Inside the wreckage, Ambassador Kira Thaland lay unconscious, her delicate blue skin pale from blood loss and her crown knocked askew. The young Zephyrian princess had been traveling to the Peace Summit when her ship was attacked by rebel forces. Her guards were dead, her crew scattered or missing, and her communication systems destroyed. The rebels who shot her down believed she was already dead, leaving her ship to burn in the remote wilderness. But they were wrong about one thing. Princess Kira wasn't alone. In the cargo hold, a massive German shepherd named Rex whined softly as he nudged his unconscious companion with his wet nose. The dog had been a gift from Earth's diplomatic corps, trained specifically to protect the young alien princess during her dangerous mission. His thick black and tan coat was singed from the crash, but his amber eyes remained alert and determined. Rex had bonded with Princess Kira during their 3-month journey together. Despite being from different worlds, they had formed an unbreakable friendship. She would share her meals with him, brush his fur while telling him stories of her homeworld, and he would curl up beside her during the lonely nights in space. To Rex, she wasn't just an alien princess. She was his pack, his family, his responsibility. As the ship's systems began to fail and toxic fumes filled the air, Rex knew he had to act fast. The princess's breathing was becoming shallow and her pulse was weakening. He grabbed her arm gently in his powerful jaws and began pulling her toward the emergency exit. The metal was hot and twisted, but Rex didn't give up. He barked once, a deep sound that echoed through the dying ship, as if calling for help that would never come. With tremendous effort, the loyal dog managed to drag the unconscious princess out of the wreckage, just as the ship's power core began to overload. The explosion sent debris flying in all directions. But Rex had already pulled Kira to safety behind a large boulder. He lay down beside her, using his body heat to keep her warm as the alien sun set behind the jagged mountains. Princess Kira's people believed she was dead. The rebels thought their mission was complete. The galaxy had no idea that on a remote planet, a human's best friend was about to prove that loyalty knows no species, no boundaries, and no limits. Rex looked up at the strange stars above and made a silent promise to his friend. He would protect her no matter what it took. The night was cold and filled with unknown dangers, but Rex remained vigilant. His ears twitched at every sound, the howl of alien predators in the distance, the rustle of strange vegetation in the wind, the occasional rumble from the cooling wreckage behind them. But he never left her side, never wavered in his duty. As dawn approached, Princess Kira stirred slightly, her large violet eyes fluttering open for just a moment. She saw Rex's familiar face watching over her, and managed a weak smile before losing consciousness again. That brief moment of recognition gave Rex all the motivation he needed. She was alive, and as long as he drew breath, she would stay that way. The dog settled in for what he knew would be a long and difficult fight for survival. He had no way to call for help, no knowledge of this alien world, and no supplies except his own determination. But Rex had something that the rebels who shot them down didn't count on: the unshakable loyalty of humanity's oldest companion. In the growing light of Zarian Prime's twin suns, the greatest rescue mission in the galaxy was about to begin. Rex lifted his head and let out a long, mournful howl that echoed across the purple mountains. It was a sound of defiance, of determination, and of love. Somewhere in the vast wilderness of this alien world, help might hear that call. But even if no one came, Rex would not abandon his friend. The bond between a human's companion and those they protect transcends species, transcends worlds, and transcends death itself. The adventure was just beginning, and Rex was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. He had a princess to save, and nothing in the universe would stop him from bringing her home safely. The loyal dog pressed closer to his friend, keeping watch as the alien dawn broke over a world that had no idea it was about to witness the greatest act of loyalty the galaxy had ever seen. The second day on Zarian Prime brought new challenges that tested Rex's intelligence and determination. Princess Kira's condition was getting worse. Her blue skin had turned pale purple and her breathing was becoming more labored. Rex didn't need medical training to know she was dehydrating rapidly in the alien climate. The crash site was in a barren valley surrounded by towering mountains of purple stone. The twin suns beat down mercilessly and the air was thin and dry. Rex's own tongue hung out as he panted heavily, but his concern wasn't for himself. He had to find water, and he had to find it soon. Rex began his search by following his nose. His powerful sense of smell, evolved over thousands of years of evolution on Earth, gave him advantages that even the most advanced alien technology couldn't match. He caught the faint scent of moisture carried on the wind and turned his head toward the eastern canyon walls. Leaving Princess Kira wasn't easy. Rex whined softly as he looked back at her still form, knowing that every moment away from her was a risk. But staying would mean watching her die slowly, and that wasn't an option. He carefully dragged her into the shade of an overhanging rock formation, arranged stones around her to create a small shelter, and set off toward the source of the water scent. The terrain was treacherous. Sharp purple crystals jutted from the ground like alien teeth, and loose rocks threatened to send him tumbling down steep slopes. Rex's paws, tough from years of training on various terrains, handled the rough surface better than any human feet could have. He moved with the determined grace of a predator, every step calculated and purposeful. After 2 hours of difficult travel, Rex's persistence paid off. Hidden in a narrow crevice between 2 massive boulders was a small spring of clear water bubbling up from deep underground. The water was clean and cool, tasting slightly metallic but safe to drink. Rex lapped at it gratefully, but he didn't rest long. He had to figure out how to bring this life-saving liquid back to the princess. This was where Rex's training as a rescue dog proved invaluable. He had been taught to think, to solve problems, to improvise. Near the spring, he found fragments of the spaceship that had been scattered by the explosion. Among the debris was a piece of curved metal that could hold water and a length of synthetic rope from the cargo hold. Rex carefully tested the metal container, making sure it had no sharp edges that could hurt him. He filled it with fresh water and gripped the rope handle in his teeth. The journey back was even more difficult with the heavy container, but Rex moved steadily, stopping only to rest when absolutely necessary. When he returned to the makeshift shelter, Princess Kira was awake but barely conscious. Her large violet eyes followed his movements weakly as he approached. Rex set down the water container and gently nudged her head up with his snout. Using his tongue, he carefully dripped water into her mouth, patient and gentle despite his own exhaustion. The effect was almost immediate. Color began to return to her blue skin, and her breathing became steadier. Princess Kira managed to whisper something in her native language, words Rex didn't understand but recognized as gratitude. She reached out with a trembling hand and touched his fur, and Rex felt her relief and trust wash over him. But Rex knew this was just the beginning. One container of water wouldn't be enough. They needed a steady supply, and they needed food. As the alien suns began to set again, Rex made his second trip to the spring. This time he brought back not just water but also some of the strange purple moss that grew around the water source. Princess Kira sniffed the moss cautiously, then took a small bite. Her face showed relief as she realized it was not only edible, but actually nutritious for her species. Rex had somehow known, guided by instincts that transcended species barriers. That night, as Rex kept watch over his friend, he reflected on their situation. They were stranded on an alien world with no hope of immediate rescue. The princess was injured and weak, depending entirely on him for survival. But Rex felt no fear, only determination. This was what he had been bred for, trained for, born for. Protecting those who couldn't protect themselves was in his very DNA. The loyal dog settled down beside Princess Kira, listening to her steady breathing and watching the alien stars wheel overhead. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight they were alive, they had water, and they had each other. In a universe full of complex politics and advanced technology, sometimes the simplest bonds were the strongest. Rex's tail wagged slightly as he felt the princess's hand rest on his back. They were going to make it through this together, one day at a time, one problem at a time. The rescue mission was far from over, but the foundation had been laid. Trust, determination, and the unbreakable bond between a protector and those under their care would see them through whatever came next. On the 4th day, Rex discovered they weren't alone on Zerion Prime. Princess Kira was finally strong enough to sit up and take small sips of water on her own. Her recovery was slow but steady, thanks to Rex's constant care and the discovery of several edible plants near the water source. But their peaceful routine was shattered when Rex heard something that made his blood run cold. A howl echoed across the purple mountains. But this wasn't like any sound from Earth. It was deeper, more menacing, with an alien quality that spoke of predators evolved on a world where mercy was unknown. Rex's ears perked up immediately, and his hackles rose as his protective instincts kicked into overdrive. Princess Kira heard it too, and her violet eyes widened with fear. She whispered a word in her language that Rex somehow understood meant shadow hunter, the apex predator of her homeworld. But this wasn't her homeworld, and whatever made that sound was something even more dangerous. Rex positioned himself between the princess and the direction of the howl, his powerful body tense and ready. His training had prepared him for many scenarios, but facing unknown alien predators wasn't one of them. Still, his resolve never wavered. Whatever was out there would have to go through him to reach Princess Kira. The attack came at sunset. 3 creatures emerged from behind the purple rock formations, moving with the fluid grace of born killers. They looked like a cross between wolves and lizards with 6 legs, crystalline teeth, and hide that seemed to shift color to match their surroundings. Their eyes glowed with a cold intelligence that marked them as pack hunters. Rex had faced dangerous animals before, but these shadow hunters were unlike anything on Earth. They were larger than he was, faster and obviously designed for this harsh environment. But Rex had something they didn't: thousands of years of breeding and training that had turned his species into the perfect protector. The first shadow hunter lunged at Princess Kira, but Rex was already moving. He intercepted the creature mid-leap, his powerful jaws clamping down on its neck just behind the head. The alien predator shrieked in surprise and pain, its crystalline teeth snapping inches from Rex's face. They rolled together across the rocky ground, a tangle of fur, scales, and determination. The second shadow hunter tried to circle around to attack the princess from another angle, but Rex was ready. Even while fighting the first creature, he positioned himself to protect his charge. He released his grip on the first attacker and spun to face the second, his deep bark echoing off the canyon walls like a war cry. Rex's strategy was simple but effective. He used his superior intelligence and fighting experience to keep the creatures focused on him, rather than the helpless princess. When one shadow hunter tried to flank him, he would charge forward, forcing it back. When another attempted a direct assault, he would dodge at the last second and counterattack with precision strikes. The battle lasted nearly an hour, and Rex was beginning to tire. The shadow hunters were relentless, their alien stamina allowing them to maintain their assault even as Rex's breathing became labored. Blood matted his fur from several close calls, and his muscles ached from the constant movement. But then Princess Kira did something unexpected. Despite her weakness, she began to sing. Her voice was hauntingly beautiful, rising and falling in patterns that seemed to resonate with the very stones around them. The shadow hunters stopped their attack, their glowing eyes becoming confused and uncertain. Rex didn't understand what was happening, but he recognized an opportunity when he saw one. With a powerful leap, Rex knocked the largest shadow hunter to the ground and stood over it, his teeth bared and a low growl rumbling in his chest. The creature looked up at him with what might have been respect in its alien features. Princess Kira's song continued, and slowly, incredibly, the shadow hunters began to back away. Only later did Rex learn that Princess Kira's people had a special gift: the ability to communicate with predators through harmonic frequencies. Her song hadn't tamed the shadow hunters, but it had made them understand that Rex was the alpha predator in this territory. In the complex social structure of pack hunters, this meant they had to respect his claim to protect the princess. As the shadow hunters disappeared into the gathering darkness, Rex collapsed beside Princess Kira, exhausted but victorious. She gently examined his wounds, her delicate fingers careful not to cause him more pain. Her touch was healing in more ways than one, and Rex felt the deep satisfaction that came from a job well done. That night, as they rested together under the alien stars, Princess Kira told Rex about her people's connection to predators and how his brave defense had impressed even the shadow hunters. Though he couldn't understand her words, Rex understood her gratitude and admiration. The loyal dog had proven himself not just as a protector, but as a warrior worthy of respect even from alien predators. His bond with Princess Kira had grown stronger through shared danger, and he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The shadow hunters might return, but they would find Rex ready and waiting, standing guard over the one he had sworn to protect. In the distance, another howl echoed across the mountains, but this time it sounded different, less threatening, more acknowledgmental. Word was spreading through the alien ecosystem that this territory belonged to a protector, unlike any they had ever encountered, and Princess Kira was under the protection of Earth's most loyal guardian. 2 weeks after the crash, Princess Kira was finally strong enough to walk short distances. Her blue skin had regained its healthy color, and the deep cuts from the accident had healed thanks to Rex's careful attention in the medicinal properties of the local plants he had discovered through trial and careful observation. But their situation remained desperate. They were still stranded on an alien world with no way to contact the outside galaxy. The rebels who had shot down their ship believed Princess Kira was dead, and her own people had likely given up hope of finding survivors. Rex knew they needed to find a way to send a signal, or they would spend the rest of their lives in this beautiful but dangerous wilderness. The breakthrough came when Princess Kira noticed something glinting in the morning sunlight high up on the canyon wall. Her keen alien eyesight, superior to human vision, spotted what looked like metal embedded in the rock face. Rex followed her gaze and saw it too, a piece of their crashed spaceship that had been thrown clear by the explosion and lodged in an almost impossible location. It was the ship's emergency beacon. Rex studied the cliff, face with the calculating eye of a problem solver. The beacon was at least 50 feet up a nearly vertical wall of smooth purple stone. For a human or even Princess Kira in her current condition, it would be unreachable. But Rex had spent years training in search and rescue operations, including mountain terrain that would challenge even experienced climbers. Princess Kira seemed to read his thoughts. She shook her head frantically, pointing at the dangerous cliff and then at Rex, clearly trying to tell him it was too risky. But Rex had already made his decision. That beacon represented their only hope of rescue, and he would not let fear stop him from reaching it. The climb began at dawn the next day. Rex had spent the previous evening studying every crack and ledge in the rock face, planning his route with the methodical patience of a trained rescue dog. He started slowly, testing each paw hold carefully before committing his full weight to it. The purple stone was harder than earth granite, but with a slightly different texture that actually provided better grip than Rex had expected. His claws found purchase in tiny cracks invisible to the naked eye, and his powerful leg muscles propelled him upward inch by careful inch. Princess Kira watched from below, her hands pressed to her mouth in worry. She called out encouragement in her melodic language, her voice providing emotional support even when Rex couldn't understand the words. Every few minutes Rex would pause and look down at her, drawing strength from her presence and her belief in him. The most dangerous moment came halfway up when Rex encountered a section of smooth stone with no visible handholds. He hung there for several minutes, his muscles burning with fatigue, searching for a way forward. Then his keen nose detected something the others had missed, a slight air current flowing through a hairline crack in the rock. Following his instincts, Rex shifted his weight and discovered that the crack was actually wide enough for his claws. It was a route that would have been invisible to any other creature. But Rex's combination of training, intelligence, and determination allowed him to find the impossible path. When Rex finally reached the beacon, he found it wedged tightly between two chunks of purple crystal. The device was damaged but intact, its emergency power cell still showing signs of life. Rex carefully gripped the beacon in his teeth and began the even more treacherous journey down. The descent took twice as long as the climb up. Rex moved with extreme caution, knowing that Princess Kira's rescue depended on him getting the beacon down safely. His jaws ached from maintaining his grip on the device, and his paws were raw from the rough stone, but he never considered giving up. When Rex finally reached the ground, Princess Kira threw her arms around him in relief and gratitude. Together they examined the beacon and discovered that while the main transmitter was broken, the emergency locator signal was still functional. It wouldn't be able to send a detailed message, but it could broadcast their location to any ship within range. Princess Kira activated the device with hands that trembled with excitement and hope. The beacon began emitting a steady pulse that would be picked up by any Zephyrian search vessel in the area. But they both knew it might take days or even weeks for someone to detect the signal and investigate. That night, as they sat together watching the beacon's small light pulse rhythmically in the darkness, Princess Kira spoke to Rex in her own language. Though he couldn't understand the words, her tone conveyed everything he needed to know. She was telling him how brave he was, how grateful she felt, how his loyalty had saved both their lives. Rex responded by resting his head on her lap, his tail wagging slowly. He didn't need praise or recognition. Seeing Princess Kira healthy and hopeful was reward enough. The beacon continued its patient transmission, sending their location out into the vast galaxy, a tiny signal of hope in the infinite darkness. The loyal dog kept one ear tuned to the beacon and the other listening for any signs of approaching rescue ships. They had done everything they could do. Now they could only wait and trust that somewhere out there, someone was listening for their call. As the alien stars wheeled overhead, Rex reflected on how much they had both changed during their time on Zerion Prime. Princess Kira had grown stronger and more resourceful, while Rex had discovered depths of courage and determination he never knew he possessed. Whatever happened next, they had proven that friendship and loyalty could overcome any obstacle. The beacon pulsed on through the night, a mechanical heartbeat carrying their hopes across the cosmos. Help was coming. Rex could feel it in his bones. Soon they would both be going home. The rescue ships arrived on the 18th day, but they brought danger along with hope. Rex heard the spacecraft engines long before they became visible in Zerion Prime's violet sky. His acute hearing picked up the distinctive whine of anti-gravity drives approaching from the east, and his tail began wagging with excitement. After weeks of isolation, help was finally coming. Princess Kira heard them too, and she stood up quickly, pointing skyward as 3 sleek vessels descended toward their canyon hideout. But as the ships drew closer, her expression changed from joy to alarm. She began speaking rapidly in her native language, her voice filled with worry and fear. Rex didn't need to understand her words to recognize the problem. 2 of the ships bore the royal insignia of Princess Kira's people, but the third displayed the black and red markings of the rebel faction that had shot them down in the first place. Somehow the rebels had intercepted the rescue mission. The first ship to land was one of the royal vessels. Several Zephyrian soldiers in blue armor emerged, their weapon belts gleaming in the alien sunlight. Their leader, a tall figure with intricate tattoos covering his arms, called out to Princess Kira in their shared language. Rex could hear the relief and joy in his voice as he confirmed that the princess was alive and well. But before Princess Kira could respond, the rebel ship touched down nearby, and armed soldiers in black combat gear poured out. Their leader, a scarred Zephyrian with cold eyes, raised his weapon and shouted something that made all the royal guards tense up and reach for their own guns. Rex found himself in the middle of a 3-way standoff. The royal guards wanted to protect their princess. The rebels wanted to finish what they had started, and Rex just wanted to keep Princess Kira safe. The situation was about to explode into violence that could get everyone killed. Princess Kira tried to step forward to negotiate, but Rex blocked her path with his body. His protective instincts told him that exposing her to crossfire would be a fatal mistake. Instead, he began moving in a wide circle around the group, keeping low and using the rocky terrain for cover. The standoff lasted for several tense minutes, with both sides shouting threats and demands. Rex could see that the royal guards were outnumbered and outgunned. The rebels had brought heavy weapons and were positioned behind better cover. If fighting broke out, Princess Kira's people would lose. That's when Rex decided to change the rules of engagement, moving with the stealth and speed that only a perfectly trained dog could achieve. Rex circled behind the rebel position. The soldiers were so focused on the confrontation with the royal guards that they never noticed the 4-legged shadow slipping between the rocks behind them. Rex struck without warning, leaping onto the back of the rebel leader and knocking him to the ground. The man's weapon went flying, clattering across the rocky surface out of reach. Before the other rebels could react, Rex was already moving to his next target, using confusion and speed to neutralize threats one by one. The royal guards seized the opportunity Rex had created. With their opponents distracted and disorganized, they were able to advance and secure better positions. The battle that followed was brief but decisive, with Rex's surprise attack tipping the balance in favor of Princess Kira's people. When the fighting ended, the rebel leader found himself staring up at Rex's amber eyes, the dog's powerful jaws just inches from his throat. The man had never seen a creature like Rex before. and the intelligence and determination he saw in those eyes made him realize he was facing something completely outside his experience. Princess Kira approached slowly, speaking to Rex in gentle tones that told him the danger had passed. The loyal dog stepped back but remained alert, ready to act again if needed. The princess then addressed the captured rebel leader, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had survived weeks in the wilderness and emerged stronger than before. What she said made the rebel soldiers look at each other with uncertainty. Rex couldn't understand the words, but he could see their effect. One by one, the rebels began laying down their weapons and backing away from their leader. Princess Kira's time on Xerion Prime had apparently given her insights that changed everything. The Royal Guard captain approached Rex with obvious respect and admiration. He had seen many brave warriors in his career, but never one who could single-handedly turn the tide of battle with nothing but courage and intelligence. He spoke to Princess Kira, clearly asking about her four-legged protector. Princess Kira's response made all the guards look at Rex with new understanding. She was telling them about their weeks together, about how Rex had saved her life repeatedly, about the bond they had formed across species lines. The captain nodded slowly, then did something unprecedented. He bowed to Rex as he would to a fellow warrior. As the royal ships prepared for departure, Rex felt a mixture of excitement and sadness. He was eager to leave this dangerous world behind, but he knew their adventure together was ending. Soon they would return to their separate lives, and their unique friendship would become just a memory. But Princess Kira had other plans. As they boarded the rescue ship together, she spoke to the captain in tones that brooked no argument. Rex couldn't understand her words, but he recognized the sound of someone making a royal decree. Whatever she was saying, it involved him, and the captain's respectful nod suggested it was something important. The loyal dog settled down beside his friend as the ship lifted off from Xerion Prime, leaving the purple mountains and alien wilderness behind. Their rescue was complete, but Rex had a feeling their story together was far from over. The bond forged in the crucible of survival would not be easily broken, and Princess Kira seemed determined to ensure their friendship would continue. The royal homeworld of Zephyria was unlike anything Rex had ever seen. As their rescue ship descended through clouds of silver and gold, vast crystal cities emerged from emerald seas, their spires reaching toward twin moons that hung like jewels in the purple sky. Princess Kira pressed her face to the viewing port, tears of joy streaming down her blue cheeks as she saw her home for the first time in months. Rex stayed close beside her, his tail wagging as he sensed her happiness. During the 3-day journey from Xerion Prime, he had learned more about the princess and her people. The Zephyrians were an ancient race known throughout the galaxy for their wisdom, artistic achievements, and diplomatic skills. They had never encountered anything quite like Rex, and his story was already spreading through their civilization. The landing platform was crowded with thousands of Zephyrians who had come to welcome their princess home. When the ship's doors opened, a cheer went up that could be heard across the crystal city. Princess Kira stepped out into the warm sunlight of her homeworld, but she paused at the threshold and gestured for Rex to join her. Together they walked down the ramp toward the waiting crowd. Rex had never seen so many aliens in one place, but their joy and excitement were infectious. Many of them were pointing at him with obvious curiosity and admiration, and he could hear his name being spoken in dozens of conversations. At the front of the crowd stood the royal family of Zephyria. Princess Kira's parents, King Aldrin and Queen Sarah, rushed forward to embrace their daughter, their relief and love evident despite the differences in their alien features. But when Princess Kira introduced Rex, something remarkable happened. The king, a dignified figure with flowing robes and a crown of living crystal, knelt down to Rex's level and extended his hand. His gesture was one of respect between equals, not the casual attention usually given to a pet. Rex sniffed the king's hand politely, then allowed himself to be gently petted, sensing the genuine gratitude in the alien ruler's touch. Queen Sarah spoke to Princess Kira in their melodic language, clearly asking for details about their survival. As the princess recounted their adventures, Rex could see the amazement growing on both parents' faces. When she described how Rex had climbed the cliff to retrieve the beacon, the queen gasped and covered her mouth with her hands. The celebration that followed lasted for 3 days and became the greatest festival in Zephyrian history. Rex found himself the guest of honor at banquets where he was served the finest foods from across the galaxy. Alien chefs competed to create dishes that would appeal to his Earth-evolved taste buds, and many of their creations were surprisingly delicious. But the real surprise came on the third day, when Princess Kira led Rex to the Royal Palace's Hall of Heroes. The vast chamber was filled with statues and monuments honoring the greatest champions in Zephyrian history. Warriors, diplomats, scientists, and artists who had shaped their civilization over thousands of years. At the center of the hall, workers were installing something that made Rex's heart race with emotion. It was a statue of him, carved from the same living crystal as the royal crown, showing him in a protective stance beside Princess Kira. The inscription below was written in both Zephyrian script and English, ensuring that future generations would know the story of the loyal Earth dog who refused to abandon his friend. Princess Kira knelt beside Rex and spoke to him in English, words she had been learning during their journey home. "Rex, you saved me, not just my life but my soul. You showed me what true loyalty means, what friendship can accomplish. My people want to honor you, but more than that, they want to learn from you." The ceremony that evening was broadcast across the galaxy. Representatives from hundreds of worlds watched as Rex was inducted into the Zephyrian Order of Heroes, the first non-Zephyrian ever to receive such an honor. The king himself placed a collar of living crystal around Rex's neck, a decoration that would mark him as a friend and protector of their people for all time. But the greatest honor came when Princess Kira announced her decision to the assembled crowd. She had been offered the position of ambassador to Earth, a role that would allow her to strengthen ties between their species, and she had requested that Rex serve as her permanent companion and advisor, a position that had never existed before but was created specifically for him. Rex looked up at Princess Kira, understanding the choice she was offering him. He could return to Earth, to his comfortable life and familiar surroundings, or he could stay with her, continuing their partnership as they worked to build bridges between worlds. The decision was his to make. Rex's answer came in the form of a gentle nuzzle against Princess Kira's hand, followed by a soft bark that needed no translation. The crowd erupted in cheers, understanding that they were witnessing the birth of a new kind of diplomacy, one based not on treaties and agreements, but on the simple, powerful bond between two friends who had chosen to face the universe together. As fireworks exploded in the alien sky above the Crystal City, Rex settled down beside his friend and partner, his collar of living crystal catching the colorful lights. He had started this adventure as a guard dog assigned to protect a foreign princess. He was ending it as something entirely new, the galaxy's first interspecies diplomatic team, bound together by experiences that had transformed them both. The loyal dog from Earth had found his place among the stars, and the princess who had once been lost and alone had found a friend who would stand by her side no matter what challenges the galaxy might bring. Their story was far from over, but this chapter had ended with the greatest victory of all, the triumph of loyalty, friendship, and hope over fear and division. 6 months later, Rex stood on the observation deck of the diplomatic vessel Unity's Promise, watching Earth grow larger in the viewing screen. The blue and white marble of his home planet had never looked more beautiful, and his tail wagged, with excitement at the thought of showing Princess Kira the world where his species had first learned the meaning of loyalty. Princess Kira stood beside him, now wearing the formal robes of a galactic ambassador. The living crystal collar around Rex's neck marked him as her official partner in all diplomatic matters, a title that had raised eyebrows across the galaxy until their effectiveness became impossible to ignore. Their first joint mission had been to the mining colonies of Proxima 7, where labor disputes between 3 different species had threatened to explode into violence. Traditional diplomats had failed for months to find common ground, but Rex and Princess Kira brought something new to the negotiations, a living example of how different species could work together as equals. Rex had used his ability to read body language and emotional states to identify the real concerns behind each species' demands, while Princess Kira's empathic gifts allowed her to address those concerns directly. Within a week, they had brokered a peace agreement that not only ended the disputes, but created a new model for interspecies cooperation. Word of their success had spread quickly through diplomatic circles. Soon they were being requested for missions across the galaxy, from trade negotiations to first contact situations. Rex had discovered talents he never knew he possessed, an intuitive understanding of pack dynamics that translated perfectly to alien social structures and a calming presence that seemed to work on every species they encountered. Now they were returning to Earth on their most important mission yet. The Galactic Council had approved humanity's application for full membership, but there were concerns about their species' reputation for aggression and territorial behavior. Rex and Princess Kira would serve as advocates, helping to demonstrate humanity's true nature to a skeptical galaxy. The ship landed at the primary diplomatic facility in New Geneva, where representatives from Earth's government waited nervously. Rex could smell their anxiety even before the landing ramp lowered, and he knew this meeting would require all his skills to manage successfully. But as soon as the human officials saw Rex walking beside Princess Kira as an equal partner, their entire demeanor changed. Here was proof that humans were capable of forming bonds that transcended species barriers, evidence that their loyalty and protective instincts could be directed toward building rather than destroying. Secretary General Martinez, Earth's senior diplomat, knelt down to Rex's level just as the Zephyrian king had done months earlier. "Welcome home, Rex," she said simply. "Your planet is proud of you." Rex allowed himself to be petted, but his attention was focused on the complex dynamics playing out around them. He could sense the mixture of pride, amazement, and hope radiating from the human delegation. They were beginning to understand that Rex represented something more than just a successful rescue story. He was living proof of humanity's potential to contribute positively to galactic civilization. The formal presentations that followed went better than anyone had dared hope. Princess Kira spoke eloquently about her species' friendship with humanity, while Rex demonstrated the intelligence and emotional sophistication that had made their partnership possible. When a skeptical alien ambassador questioned whether humans could truly be trusted with galactic citizenship, Rex stepped forward and placed his paw on the ambassador's hand, somehow conveying through that simple gesture the depth of loyalty and honor that defined his species. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was welcomed into the Galactic Council as a full member, with Rex and Princess Kira appointed as their official ambassadors to the stars. That evening, as they walked through the gardens outside the diplomatic facility, Princess Kira reflected on how much their lives had changed since that terrible day on Zerion Prime. "I was supposed to die in that crash," she said quietly, switching to the English she had mastered during their travels together. "The rebels, my own people, everyone thought I was dead. But you refused to let that happen." Rex looked up at her, his amber eyes bright with intelligence and affection. He had learned to understand not just her words, but the emotions behind them, and he could feel the gratitude and love she carried for him. "Sometimes I think about what would have happened if Earth had sent a different companion with me on that mission," she continued. "A robot maybe, or just more guards. Would any of them have climbed that cliff? Would they have fought the shadow hunters? Would they have refused to abandon me when all hope seemed lost?" Rex's tail wagged slowly as he considered her questions. He knew the answer, and so did she. His actions on Zerion Prime hadn't come from programming or orders. They had come from something deeper, something that defined not just him, but his entire species. The same drive that had led ancient wolves to join human tribes around campfires now carried their descendants to the stars as guardians and friends. As they stood together under Earth's familiar night sky, looking up at the countless stars where their future adventures waited, Rex felt a deep satisfaction. He had started as a guard dog assigned to protect an alien princess. Now he was a bridge between worlds, a living symbol of the bonds that could unite different species in friendship and mutual respect. Princess Kira knelt down and wrapped her arms around Rex's neck, holding him close as she had during those long, dangerous nights on Zerion Prime. "Thank you, my friend," she whispered, "for saving my life, for changing both our worlds, and for showing the galaxy what humans are truly capable of when they choose loyalty over fear." Rex rested his head against her shoulder, content in the knowledge that their story was just beginning. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new worlds to explore, new friendships to build. But tonight, under the stars of his home planet with His best friend beside him, Rex, was exactly where he belonged. The loyal dog from Earth had kept his promise to protect Princess Kira, but in doing so, he had done something even more important. He had shown the galaxy that sometimes the greatest heroes come in the most unexpected forms, and that loyalty, courage, and friendship are truly universal languages that can unite all thinking beings under the infinite stars.